Need help changing your life with fibromyalgia? This is Lives Changed with your host, Deborah Lundquist. Through knowledge and prayer, Deb has learned to live with this difficult and often misdiagnosed disease. Get spiritual and good practical advice for achieving good health and acceptance while living with fibromyalgia. So now, please welcome the host of Lives Changed, Deborah Lundquist.
Welcome to Lives Changed, a show about fibromyalgia and, as such, other chronic pain. I'm Deb Lundquist, your host, and you're listening to the BBM Global Network, TuneIn Radio, iTunes, and iHeartRadio.com. I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. In 1999, I had a life-changing experience myself. I had a death-defying car accident in which all the emergency people told me I should have died, but God had other plans. I acquired reflex sympathetic dystrophy, or as it's now known, complex regional pain syndrome 1 and 2, which is the worst pain known to man according to the McGill Pain Index from McGill University, which is in Canada. And when the doctors put that to sleep, we discovered I have fibromyalgia as well as several other chronic pain and autoimmune diseases. To learn more about me, you can read my bio on the Lives Changed page on the BBM Global Network. All of our radio shows are saved there as well, from show 1 to last week's show. This week's show will be on there next week. I do need to say I am not a doctor or in the medical field in any way. What I share with you, I have learned through extensive research, interviews with a multitude of doctors and others in the medical field who have given me materials not available to the normal patient, and living with the disease for over 19 years. If you have questions, you can call in while the show is live, which it is today, October 13th, and the phone number is 866-451-1451. Again, that number is 866-451-1451, and you can get your questions answered live. If I don't have the answer, I will write it down and have it for you next week. If you're shy and don't want to ask the question live, you can either email it to me at liveschangedradio@gmail.com, or you can go to the comments section on the Lives Changed page on the BBM Global Network, and you can ask your question there, and you can make other comments there as well. Also, let me give you some other places where you can find me. On Facebook, you will find me on Your Fibromyalgia, and that's YOUR Fibromyalgia, a support group for fibromyalgia and other chronic pain that goes along with it. And I have a web page at https://DebLundquist.com. That's my name, DebLundquist.com, where I have written articles for patients, family members, caregivers, and doubters, 2 fun quizzes about fibromyalgia, the story of my life and how I got the disease, access to the radio show with topics on what each show is, access to all the natural nutritional products I use and sell, and there is the work from home opportunity there as well for both of the natural products that I use. I also have written a couple of articles about RSD-CRPS. I also have other products I'm developing along the way. So if you have anyone who wants to learn more about fibromyalgia, this would be a good place to send them. You can also call me personally at 815-214-9443. Again, that's 815-214-9443. And if I don't answer, please leave a message and I will return your call. Also, my book, RSD CRPS From a Patient's Perspective, is now available on Amazon as an ebook. You can look it up under Kindle and look up that title. Again, it's RSD/CRPS From a Patient's Perspective. The price is $24.99, and there will be other formats in the future. And this book, the things in this book can also address fibromyalgia. So it could be helpful to those with fibromyalgia, and it could be helpful, to others who have chronic pain. I would like to say a word for the victims of Hurricane Michael. You've had a really hard time of it. It was a terrible hurricane, and it did a lot of damage. If you were affected by it in any way, I am so sorry. And if your body is reacting in a negative way, I hope you have what you need to help you get through this time. Please know you are in my prayers. The first thing that I like to do every show is affirmations. The first time that I do them, I explain to you why they're important, and the second time we say them out loud together. This is something that has been very important for me and has helped me so very much. So if you haven't written them down, please do so, and that's something that I have found very helpful to do in front of a mirror every single day. And it has helped me to continue to grow stronger and stronger. So I share them with you because I have discovered that they really are so important to me. So here we go. I am not alone, and we aren't alone. Some sources say 5 million, other sources say up to 10 million people in the United States have fibromyalgia, but that's just the adults. That doesn't include children, it doesn't include teenagers, the underdiagnosed, the misdiagnosed, and it doesn't include our military heroes who are coming back from war diagnosed with PTSD that then in some cases turns into fibromyalgia. Worldwide, they say 20 million people, but the United States is so small compared to the entire world that I just can't believe that it's only 20 million for the entire world, considering what they're saying for the United States. I am beautiful or handsome, as the case may be. This is no longer a woman's disease, and I don't think it ever just was. I don't know why the doctors only thought women could get it. But be that as it may, more and more men are being diagnosed with it, and the ratio is changing from 4-to-1 to closer to 3-to-2. So we can no longer say it is a woman's disease. I am loved. And yes, we are loved very, very much by the family that we still have and by the family that we have created. And yes, we have to create our own family who understand and do love us for who we are. I am needed. And yes, we are needed. We're needed by our families, and we are needed by the fibromyalgia community because we need them and they need us. We need to join a support group, and we need to make sure it's not a whiny support group because they will only bring us down. But we need to join a support group that is supportive. And your fibromyalgia is one of those. And you'll find that not only does the fibro community share love. They support you when you need it, and then you offer support when they need it. It's a very awesome and close community. I still have a purpose, and yes, we do have a purpose. We still have the purpose that we had before, and then we have a purpose within the fibromyalgia community to support one another, to give support, to love one another, and to be loved, to know we're not alone, to let others know they're not alone. And, you know, millions of people with fibromyalgia, that's a big voice. So we need to show that not to be silent. We need to let people know that fibromyalgia is real, and that even though it is invisible, people need to see us and know it's real. I am important, and we are important, and we need to learn that. We're important to our families and friends. We're important to the fibro community. And most importantly, we need to learn we're important to ourselves. I love you. You need to look in the mirror. You need to look in your beautiful eyes, and you need to say to yourself, I love you. And you need to mean it. Show 40 and 41 addresses that, and then I have an article on my webpage that talks about that. I am a survivor, and you are, if you're listening to this, you are a survivor, and that makes you a warrior because we fight this every single day. I am still me, and that was a shock to me when I discovered that's true. I am still me, and you are still the same you were before. You just have an illness, but you can't do the same things that you did before. But the basic essence of who you are is still there inside you. So you need to realize that. You need to learn that. I am unique. There is no one else like me anywhere in the world. That makes me not only special, that makes me powerful. So if identical twins aren't really identical, and we all know that's true, then when you were made, the mold was broken, and there really isn't anybody else like you in the world. Okay. Let's say them together now. Say them out loud with me. I am not alone. I am beautiful or handsome. I am loved. I am needed. I still have a purpose. I am important. I love you. And I do love you, folks. I wouldn't be doing this radio show if I didn't love you. I am a survivor, a warrior. I am still me. I am unique. There is no one else like me in the world. That makes me not only special, that makes me powerful. And not only that, but you've been given special gifts and special talents that nobody else has. And now you have time to figure out what those gifts and talents are, and maybe you can put them to use. So don't waste them. Well, happy Saturday morning. What is the weather like where you live? A few days ago, it was in the 80s here, and we had the air conditioner on. And yesterday, it snowed. You know, my husband always says, just wait a little while in Illinois, and the weather will change. But really, In 2 days, it changes that drastically. Where did fall go? Where is fall? I want fall. Our bodies just don't like that swift of a change. And boy, oh boy. So I know there are a lot of people's bodies out there saying, what? So I feel for you. You know what to do. I've talked about it a lot. Well, let's kick the weekend off with a good feeling. Do you have your drink ready? And are you in your comfy, warm clothes? Good. Then let's get started and have a nice, relaxing hour together with discussion. Today, I want to tell you what I discovered last week. We just discussed Candida last week, and I got to thinking about this after we were done with the show. Not only was my migraine getting worse after the show, because I did a show with a migraine, but it was getting harder and harder to breathe. My chest was really getting tight, and my inhalers weren't working. So I was thinking about the idea that Candida can be found in moist places, and I wondered if it could be in my chest. By Monday, I could hardly breathe unless I had my CPAP on with my oils in it. So I called and asked for medicine for Candida. I took the first pill, and as that first day progressed, I could feel an easing in my chest. So I took that first pill, and as the first day progressed, I could already feel an easing in my chest. I still had to be on the CPAP, and I was on the CPAP most of last week. As the days passed, my chest has opened more and more. On Thursday, I took my second pill, and I realized I no longer had to be on my CPAP all the time. Then on Thursday, I didn't need to sleep all day as I have had to do all week. I'm going to continue until I've taken the fourth pill, and I don't feel like I'm over it enough. I will go to the doctor and see what he thinks. But today I can talk, and I don't sound like I have a frog in my throat. I still have to clear my throat, but now we can add to our list of infections that Candida can cause to this: dermatitis, respiratory infections, vaginitis, sinusitis, and dental infections. It can also turn your tongue white. That is a sign that you have Candida. I hope this has been helpful for you. Next, the doctor had ordered a fairly new migraine medication. It is supposed to prevent migraines from happening in the first place for those who have chronic migraines. Well, I've been diagnosed with complex chronic migraines. I don't know what makes them complex other than they don't know what causes them, and my entire body is involved. But anyway, a person takes a shot of this medication once a month, and that's it. Now with Imitrex, boy, those shots just hurt me like something crazy. This shot, I didn't even feel it go in, to be perfectly honest. And the only side effect is possible redness around the injection site, which I didn't even get that. And in about 1% of people, possible constipation. The medication is called Aimovig, and that is spelled A-I-M as in man, O, V as in Victor, I-G. I will spell it again because I think this is important for those who do get chronic migraines. A-I-M as in man, O-V as in Victor, I-G as in girl. And their phone number is 833-246-6844. Again, their number is 833-246-6844. This is something that your doctor would have to investigate, and your insurance would have to approve. Now, I have only had one shot, so I don't know if this is going to prevent my migraines. But if it works, that would just be like a golden goose on a platter. I went to the chiropractor on Monday, and he worked on my neck, which has really helped me with my migraine. Then he worked on my shoulder because it was really hurting, and he took all that pain away. After that, I went and got that shot. All right, now to move on to something different. I know I often mention this disease, but I never really go into detail with it. Now that I've written a book about this subject, I thought I would tell you a little bit more about RSD-CRPS. First of all, is it real? Absolutely. But again, it's invisible. Well, sometimes. We are not imagining the horrendous pain we are feeling. No matter what anybody tells us, what we feel is real and not in our heads. Well, let me rephrase that. In a way, it is in our head, because that is where the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems are located, at the base of our skull. Also, our central nervous system is right above that. So yes, in a way, it is in our head, but not in our imagination. Then they all attach to our spine. From there, we have the peripheral nerves all through our body. And all nervous systems that are attached to our spine talk back and forth from the peripheral nerves to the brain, discussing our pain and where it is. And then the brain will send back pain signals to the original area. It takes such a small amount of time for this conversation to take place. With the RSD-CRPS, the pain gets stronger and stronger as time continues, and there is no pain management. The effects of that pain can be devastating, can have devastating effects. And at some point, all of our nervous systems can become involved in our disease. That is why early diagnosis is so vitally important, and why effective pain management is so necessary. Next time someone says it's in your head, you just say to them, "Oh, have you been doing research? Thank you for taking such an interest in my autoimmune disease and discovering where it begins." That just stops them in their tracks, because they won't expect that answer. Then you just smile sweetly at them and walk away. People don't understand how mean they are to chronic pain patients as they try to shock us out of our current behavior. They think they are helping, but because of their ignorance of their disease, they're only hurting us. Also, our confusion, memory, exhaustion, and insomnia are not just generated by our pain, but the limbic part of our brain, which sits on top of our head like a little hat, is what is generating all of that. I like to tell people my limbic hat is crooked today. They look at me funny, but it does start conversation. So try that. And they'll look at you funny, and then you can say, well, part of my illness is actually created by the limbic part of my brain, which causes my confusion, memory loss, my speech difficulties, so on and so forth. RSD-CRPS is not a rare disease. People will tell you it is, but it isn't. It's a silent one. There are so many strange symptoms to this disease that patients don't want to talk about it. People react in two ways. One way is total and complete disbelief, and they will turn away from us and either start spreading rumors or will never start talking or will never speak to you again. The other way is their eyes glass over and they stop listening. They are so shocked by what we are saying that they can't take in the shock of it. Either way, it seems we lose our friends and a lot of our family members will just ignore us and try the shock treatment. They will try comments like, you have to want to get better to get better. Oh yeah, I heard that one. Or, you have just gotten lazy. Just get up off that couch and you'll be fine. My daughter heard that one. Just get back to work, or other hurtful things. Try not to cry. They don't understand what you're going through. They can't see your pain. They can't, if your arms are turning colors, well, then they can see something's going on, but they just don't understand. Don't believe them either, because we know better, and so does our God. Reflex sympathetic dystrophy, complex regional pain syndrome, is an autoimmune disease and has the highest known pain to man. On the McGill Pain Index from the McGill University, and this is a highly respected and often used pain index, rates RSD-CRPS as a 42 out of 50, with nothing higher. It rates pain in 4 different ways. Pain is subjective. Oh, by the way, it rates fibromyalgia at about a 30, okay? Pain is subjective upon how the highest pain a person is felt. If a person has broken a bone, about a 20, then they can't imagine what a 42 feels like. If a person has only stubbed a toe, then a 42 is quite beyond their understanding. What I do is try to give them an image they can feel. Can you imagine cutting your arm down to the bone? That usually gets a shudder. Then I will say, now pour acid in it and have imaginary fire ants crawling and biting on your skin that keeps turning different colors. That usually gets their attention. Maybe not their understanding, but at least their attention. RSD is a disease that has many personalities, and therefore a doctor with little experience in treating these symptoms usually has a difficult time diagnosing them correctly. And they don't get any training in this in medical school. They get 4 hours of training in medical school on chronic pain. Now, there are a lot of things that cause chronic pain, and 4 hours isn't going to touch everything and hardly touch anything. So the behavior of this disease can vary from patient to patient and from symptom to symptom on any given day, even any given hour. It is an autoimmune disease, and so it affects the immune system response. This may make the patient more susceptible to common illnesses like the flu or colds, and recovery time may become longer than for a non-RSD-CRPS patient. In other words, it appears that the immune system is adversely affected by the changes caused by this disease. Lack of stamina is a prevailing problem to the individual who has this disease. Often, patients who have never had problems with asthma or allergies will develop these additional problems due to RSD-CRPS. RSD-CRPS is a multi-symptomatic disease that is disabling in nature and usually develops after an occurrence of some trauma, be it simple or complex. It is one of those chronic pain diseases in CRPS. The illness is non-terminal, but may be lifelong despite medical or other interventions. Physical alterations brought by the disease may challenge body image and use. The intense pain imposed by RSD-CRPS leads to inactivity, withdrawal from family and friends, and discontinuance of cherished vocational and leisure pursuits. Although the disease itself is not terminal, secondary effects of the disease may in fact cause death. Suicide is the largest destroyer of death for those with this disease. Other secondary effects may be on the heart, osteoporosis, and various other internal issues. So, like I said, other secondary effects may be on the heart, osteoporosis, and various other internal illnesses. I've told you about my friend Tom, the one that has a hole behind his ear that goes straight to his skull, and he has several heart conditions, and now he has RSD in his gut. And now when he takes medicines or eats, he passes out. And they couldn't figure out why. And they've done test after test after test, and they've discovered that it's the RSD. And then when he comes to, he has tremendous pain. And it's because he's eaten or he's taken medicine. So this coming week, they're going to do a laparoscopy because he has problems in his gut. I'm not sure where. And they may be doing a colonoscopy. But after the laparoscopy, he has to stay in bed for 6 to 8 days, which with him, that's very difficult. But I'm hoping this time he listens because they're trying to keep him alive. And but this is what happens when you do not manage your pain. The RSD will spread, and it spreads like wildfire. And he absolutely refused to manage his pain. He wouldn't take pain meds until just recently. And he refused getting blocks. And so he's just lived with the pain. And this is what happens, is that the RSD just takes over your life, your body. And so pain management is crucial in RSD. And so the largest percent of known RSD-CRPS patients contract the disease after a fracture but other factors such as a sprain, muscle or ligament injury, heart problems, infections, surgery, spinal injuries or disorders, or major trauma can precede the development of RSD-CRPS symptoms. The list is unending. It occurs after minor trauma such as injections, having blood drawn, or stubbing a toe. One young child was diagnosed with the illness after having her finger stick to a freezer compartment in a local grocery store. In approximately 30% of patients, there appears to be no definitive injury or trauma. In other words, they have no idea how they got it. The onset of symptoms may appear as an intense and unrelenting burning, aching, sharp tingling, and or crushing pain. For me, I had all of them. In fact, the pain that is associated with this disease is beyond what one would normally expect for the type of injury or trauma. This is usually the most telling symptom of all and should not be ignored. There is pain, and then there is excruciating, unbearable, and indescribable pain. The second can be RSD. I used to beg Bob to cut off my arm. I couldn't stand it. But the doctor said that would be the worst thing that you could do. Other symptoms that can be present include swelling, stiffness, and discoloration of the skin. My arm would turn red, blue, purple, white as if it was dead, I mean bleach white, and almost black, and brown, and sometimes it would be blotchy, and always it was cold. These problems can appear between the time of the original trauma to a few hours after the initial injury to several days or weeks, and the disease progresses in stages. Not all of these symptoms need to be present for the problem to be RSD. As stated earlier, this disease is very individualistic. RSD-CRPS can affect any part of the body, but usually begins in one or more of the extremities. It spreads in up to 70% of the cases, and in some cases it becomes systemic or whole body. Tom's is whole body, and I'm whole body as well. But my RSD is asleep right now. But I know how to get it out. If it starts up again, I immediately go and get a block. Originally, it was thought that RSD-CRPS involved the sympathetic nervous system, hence RSD. Now, in 2017, research is showing that RSD-CRPS actually involves the entire nervous system as well, including the central nervous system and the limbic portion of your brain. However, it is still not understood. There is no rhyme or reason why this person gets it and that one does not. There can be remission for however long it lasts, but there is no cure. Still, if one goes into remission, it might not be total remission, and there may still be some symptomology present, as there is with me. Like, that's why I take baclofen, because I would kick and jerk if I didn't, and that's the RSD. Also, my favorite pain management doctor had a patient who had every single one of the symptoms except pain. And then in 2 years, the pain hit, and it was excruciating. It appears that a person who has RSD-CRPS goes into the fright and flight mode, just like fibro. The sympathetic nervous system is where the fright and flight mode is, and it never turns off. And that's the parasympathetic nervous system. The switch is broken. Because of this, our hormones become unbalanced, and that causes even more problems. RSD-CRPS is a disease that has many personalities, and therefore a doctor with little experience in treating these symptoms usually has a difficult time diagnosing the problem correctly. The behavior of the disease can vary from patient to patient and from symptom to symptom on any given day. It is an autoimmune disease and affects the immune system response. This may make the patient more susceptible to colds. In other words, the immune system is changes and causes you get sicker. And pain management is a must and must be and as immediate as possible. RSD-CRPS is nothing to play with. It is a serious, debilitating pain disease. And I have lived with it for 19 years. I don't say remission because I have been in, quote, remission many times. I say the doctor has put it to sleep because with me, I have had it put to sleep for 7 years when they allowed radio frequency, and it was such a beautiful time in my life. And that's when we discovered that the RSD was hiding my fibromyalgia. And since then, we've been able to put it to sleep, thank God, for several times. But for more information, you can read my RSD book, Patient's Perspective by Deb Lundquist, and edited by Dr. Philip Getson, DO, and it is on Amazon. All right, so we've come to the end of the show, and I want to thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have found some good in this show, and I have enlightened you and possibly helped you. Please remember, I'm not in the medical field, but I do have a lot of medical information up my sleeve. And if you have questions, please send them to the liveschangedradio@gmail.com. You can call me personally at 815-214-9443. That's 815-214-9443. You can find me on Facebook on Your YOUR Fibromyalgia, and my webpage is https://DebLundquist.com. Make sure you join us next week. We hope to see you then on Life's Change. Please remember that you're not alone. You're stronger than you think. Fight on and have a blessed week. Thank you again for tuning in to the show today. And remember, you are loved. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Lives Changed with host Deborah Lundquist. Find out each week how Deb can educate, guide, and help you get through the daily challenges of living with fibromyalgia on Deb Lundquist's Lives Changed.